Hi, my name is Richard. I'm a tutor at Kensington and Chelsea College, and today I'm going to give you some plumbing tips. We're going to look now at the process for welding sheet lead. The tool of choice is going to be an oxyacetylene welding kit. So it's a kit that uses oxygen and acetylene gas. Acetylene gas being the fuel gas, and the oxygen then comes in to increase the temperature that the gas burns at. In oxygen-rich environments, the behaviour of gases changes, and so what we'll do, we use acetylene, which is a relatively slow, lazy burning gas, but when we increase the oxygen, it creates a much hotter, sharper flame, and that's why we will use oxygen acetylene kits. Because it's a very small kit for welding lead and the flame isn't too piercing, we don't need dark glasses, but you do need to wear goggles because you're going to create a pool of molten metal, and that pool clearly, if you put the torch into it, can spit back. So light the torch. We will light the acetylene line first and set the speed of the flame from that. And you can see that's a relatively lazy burning. When we bring the oxygen in, the nature of that flame will change. And I'll bring the oxygen in now until we can see a distinct blue cone. What I'm looking for is for the yellow to disappear and get that nice blue cone of unburnt gas. It takes a little while to set the torch up. What I'm going to do is increase the acetylene very slightly just to make that a more solid flame. Bring the oxygen back in. That little pop is where the oxygen blew the flame out. So I've increased the amount of acetylene now for the flame. And that's a nice stable flame. So I can now start the weld. I've taken the sheet lead and I've cleaned the surface of the lead so that we have removed the oxidized lead from the surface, so now we just have clean lead to work from. If we leave the oxidized layer on, it would affect the burn. We're going to use this tool called a bossing stick, or a flat dresser, to flatten the lead out. The first thing we're going to do is tack both ends. So the torch is held with a very similar grip to a pen. The flame is brought onto the surface of the lead, and a molten pool is created. As you can see, it acts like a liquid and starts to pull away, so I'm going to bring in a little extra material just to fill that gap. And there we have the first molten pool, and that's tacked to that end. I'm going to do the same this end. And this will hold it together so that the two pieces, as they heat, they will tend to distort, and by doing this I can limit the distortion. We come into the middle, put a tack in the middle as well. That one tacked without the extra material. So this sheet is now held together. So as I run the weld up the lead, the surface shouldn't distort, and the weld should have a nice even appearance. With lead welding, it's very much about the aesthetic. We want a nice finish to the weld. So what we will tend to do is make a button shape molten pool, approximately 10 mil across. And what you'll find is I'll bring the torch in, make the pool and lift it off. And each time I come in, I'll bring an extra little bit of material just to keep that solid. So the next pool comes down on top of it. And after a while, we'll end up with a nice routine where we're going to bring the extra material in, allow it to push forward, bring the extra material into the surface of the weld. With lead welding, it's very much a matter of taking your time and allowing the torch to do the work. There isn't a problem with lifting the torch off because we're melting metal into itself. It's a process that we can control. We don't need to allow the process to control us. And so this metal will simply melt in as soon as it reaches temperature. Consequently, I'm in a position to lift the torch off, allow the metal to cool, so the weld isn't running away with me. And I'm going to carry that process on right the way across the sheet until the whole of the sheet is welded together. Each button, as I say, we're looking for about 8 to 10 millimeters of going across there with each button shape. and that now simply gets carried on right the way across the sheet of the lead. If you feel that the weld is running too fast, you can readjust the flame. If you feel it's going too slowly, you can allow a little bit more acetylene in. If you feel it's going too fast, you can reduce the amount of acetylene, and so on and so forth, right the way across the weld, until you have completed that all the way across the sheet. To turn the kit off, we do the same process but in reverse. We turn the fuel gas off first because we want to hear the oxygen actually blow the flame out. We now know that the oxygen has blown the flame out, nothing's lit back up the torch. We can close that off. And just to show you what I was talking about, this lead has now, welded. It's a solid piece. And to prove that for you, just as a little demonstration, if we cut through it, you'll see that what you get is a solid strip of lead passing right the way through. So, that's how we weld sheet lead.